So I would change my investment strategy based on my planning and income needs versus a rebalance strategy. So let's go here. Joe, Al, and Andy, thank you for your podcast. It helps us make better decisions as my wife and I transition to retirement. This is Mick from Davis, California. We are both 65. I'm mostly retired from my career as a clinical social worker. I used to specialize in children and their families. Now I support graduate students, social workers, and their field placements and do ethic consultations for colleagues on a very part-time basis. My wife is a serial entrepreneur. Pretty close, huh?
Pretty close.
Yeah,
I think you only missed one R.
I'll accept it. I knew what you meant.
Got it. Who now works full-time by serving on company boards and consulting with startups. Feels like I'm reading a bio.
There's a lot of big words here.
Nick, come on. You're killing me. Just ask me a question already.
Hey, you asked for the details. He's got details.
I love the
for
details.
You.
No, I'm just diving in. This is like really complicated stuff, though. In our almost 45 years of marriage, we have always had one cat and two dogs. Currently, our 16-year-old cat is more aloof than ever since we both started working from home.
I wonder why.
Our small 12-year-old Heinz 57 dog, Daisy, still runs every morning with my wife and snuggles in the evening. We adopted our 6-year-old half
Pekingese
guard dog, Nutmeg, during the pandemic. Who knew that Pekingese were guard dogs? Car-wise, I drive an original 2-seater, 3-cylinder, 68 mile per gallon 2003 Honda Insight. Wow. And my wife enjoys her 2021 Kia Niro plug-in hybrid. All right. Little Kia plug-in. We barely drink. Yeah, because you just write.
He needs to keep clear in his writing.
He just writes letters and just
every night.
And it's just like the specificity of the
specificity. Is that a word?
That was great.
The specifics is yeah. Anyway, on Friday night, we share a Boont Amber Ale. Boont. You ever had a little Boont?
No.
I've never even heard of that one.
But anyway, so they do drink on Friday nights.
Yeah, well, Friday night.
They share a beer.
Yeah, they share a beer.
Yep,
yes.
got it.
And then perfect. I have concerns about the 35% bond component of our $6 million retirement savings. Usually when the stock market goes down, the bond market is flat to slightly up, so I can rebalance and buy more stocks on the dips. This time, the bond funds seem to dip at the same time as the stock market. So when I rebalance on the dip, should I sell the bond funds with a higher 5-year duration? Or is this similar to selling the total stock market and replacing it with a value fund? Should I try to keep the same range of bond fund duration, ultra low to moderate, that I started with before this year's stock and bond dips, or switch to all ultra low money markets until we get back to the 2008 interest rates? And as we approach a bear market, should we consider our allocation and shift from 65-35 to 70-30? We appreciate your spitball and informed opinions. Thank you and take care.
And I added, he's got his little bicycle there.
Yeah, what is that?
That's part of his. That is part of his signature, and it's all in like characters. That's pretty cool.
Little PhD, MBA.
Right. That's
way smarter.
What a combo!
Than both of us combined.
Such that he can actually draw a bicycle in text.
That is, so Mickey, you should be doing the show.
His name's Mick, not Mickey.
I'm calling him Mickey.
Oh, got it.
We go way back. We're Californians.
Yeah. And I knew he was smart, just reading this little email here. Okay, so good question. So he's got a 60-40 or 70-30 split, whatever. It doesn't necessarily matter. But what he's realizing this year is that it's like, wait a minute. When stocks go down, usually my bonds stay flat or they go up a little bit.
Sure, and that's usual. Right?
It's called negatively correlated.
Sure.
And so when that happens, you can sell the bonds and you can rebalance and buy more stocks
Or vice versa.
Right. Or stocks go up and you're like, okay, or maybe small companies go down and large companies go up. You sell large companies, buy more small, right? You're selling high and buying low.
Yeah.
But he's looking at his portfolio, he's like,
everything's down.
Everything's low.
What do we do?
What the hell do I do now? My whole strategy is out the window.
Right.
So I would be careful with any type of quick movements in this environment. Because let's say if he already has moderate or somewhat high duration bond funds, I mean, those bond managers are still holding the bonds. When they come to maturity, it's going to come back, right? So you got to be careful if you're, selling low and trying to shift your strategy just because you're looking at timing and thinking, all right, well, when interest rates get back to this level, I'd be careful with that type of thinking. If you have asset classes that you want to rebalance, but if everything is down, then it's like, okay, well, what is your overall strategy? What is the money for? Then you might got to rethink your overall financial plan. So I would change my investment strategy based on my planning and income needs versus a rebalance strategy.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that people do is maybe they'll have, just 2 or 3, 4 investments. Maybe they have a total stock market fund. Maybe they got an international fund. Maybe they have a bond fund. And all 3 of those are down right now. Now, if you had a little bit more, maybe you had a small and value fund and an emerging markets fund, these are going to probably move a little bit differently. And then you actually can rebalance and take advantage of lower prices, ones that have gone down more than other ones, which will likely over the long term recover. So that might be something to do. I also agree with you. You do have to be careful because everyone wants to make changes during markets like this. And the whole point is to do your financial planning beforehand so that you'll be fine when this happens. And we all know it's going to happen. This is not unusual. And in fact, it was, I think, 2008 where every single asset class went down. And that's not, it's not normal, but it happens. And that's the environment we're in.
Yeah. And I agree with his analogy. It's like, I don't know if I would want to sell my bond funds with a higher 5-year duration and buy, ultra short at this point. You already bought the risk. There's a reason why you get a higher expected rate of return in certain asset classes, just because there's more risk involved. And as markets go down, right, you bought that risk because you're anticipating a higher expected return in the future.
Right.
So should I sell that and buy something else? Is it like selling a value fund and buying a total U.S. stock market fund? Yeah, kind of. I think so. You're buying on the dips. I would have a more calculated strategy on my rebalance. When am I going to rebalance and how am I going to look at it? And what percentage does it needs to deviate for me to make a move, right?
Are you prepared for retirement? Schedule a free financial assessment with an experienced financial professional right online at purefinancial.com.